The hashtag Trek for Mandela team are descending Mount Kilimanjaro today after summiting Africa's highest peak yesterday. As they descended the mountain, they got the news that Gugu Zulu died yesterday. Zulu left the group on Sunday after experiencing breathing problems. ENCA sports editor Oji Molefe, who is part of the group, says Zulu's health began deteriorating on Saturday.
I had to carry him on my shoulder just to support him to get into his bed. And the doctor gave him a trip and said hopefully, he'd be okay. But I think that's probably when we realized that, he wasn't really well.
Molefe says the group are incredibly sad as they make their way down through the Tanzanian rainforest on Mount Kilimanjaro.
People are heartbroken. We all came here as a unified group with the sole purpose of summiting Mount Kilimanjaro and raising funds for caring for girls on the Trek for Mandela. But that becomes secondary when a life is lost, a life of a friend, a life of someone dear to a lot of people that are actually on this journey.
Well, I'm joined now in our Newsday studio by mountain climbing expert Thomas Alexander. Thomas, without going into details of Gugu Zulu's death, how often do mountaineers succumb to altitude sickness?
Not often, because quite a lot of systems have been put in place lately. They've got gamma bags. A lot of the mountaineers travel with emergency oxygen. And again, the golden rule is if you do succumb to altitude sickness or the symptoms of altitude, is that you have to relate either to your team leader or to the guide as well. And the only cure for altitude sickness or severe altitude sickness is to get down to a lower altitude as quick as possible.
How does Kilimanjaro compare to some of the other mountains like Everest?
Kilimanjaro is tough. And the reason why Kilimanjaro is tough is because you're breaking all rules of acclimatization. The body allows for 300 vertical meters a day, where you're ascending beyond, at times, 1,000 meters a day. So you're breaking all rules of acclimatization, and this is what makes Kilimanjaro so tough.
For this team now coming down, they would have been at the top. Can you describe what their journey down would have been?
The journey down, once you get to the summit, it all depends on what time you leave. We normally leave around about 11 o'clock to the summit. You get to Gilman's Point roughly around about 5 o'clock. When you're passing Stella Point, the sun is just about coming up. So you can get to the summit, if you're lucky, you can get to the summit around about 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. Most people just take pictures and they spend about half an hour on the summit before descending. And getting to the summit of any mountain is job half done, because you still need to get down. And getting down is tough, because walking down Kilimanjaro it's basically descending most of the way. That includes through the rainforest. So that becomes very taxing on your legs and on your muscles as well. And getting down from the summit takes about 6 hours to Kibo, to where their last camp would have been. And Kibo is fairly high in altitude over a 6-day period. So a lot of people, once you cross through 3,500 vertical meters in altitude, you will feel some symptoms of altitude. Could be headaches, could be loss of appetite, amnesia. There's a whole lot of changes that the body goes through. And the golden rule when you're going into altitude is to listen to your body, because your body's speaking to you all the time. And if the headaches become too severe, if there's shortness of breath, if you feel, or if you've got gurgly sounds in your lungs when you're sleeping in the evening, severe coughing, that is all symptoms of altitude until proven different, if you're at altitude. So altitude, to me, I see it as a silent killer. Not many people succumb to altitude because you can prevent and get the client or the patient off the mountain as quick as possible. But once altitude sets in severely, then the options of getting that person down safely or saving that person's life is sort of minimized quite a bit.
Thomas Alexander, thanks so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Well, Newsday continues after the break. Stay with the ENCA.